I had a student who just wanted a lot of attention. Show me how to do it, 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 and was just demanding all my time. So I made a video of doing problems and basically solving the regions. Posted it on YouTube, started, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. So this is a 13-minute video. And basically what I did is I took the Regents exam, 1 page at a time. And I don't know why I brought them, in case you don't know what the Regents exam looks like. I have 1 page of the Regents exam. And I've got a bunch of them. If you need a page of the Regents exam, they're here. I don't know why I brought them. I have an idea. But for instance, here's the June '08, page 15. And so if you go to my YouTube channel, which is Starcross 42, where's your computer up here?
Yep.
So if you go to Starcross 42, which would be the username down here, and you just type in June 08, page, and they've got a whole bunch of pages, but the one in my hand is page 15. And you go to page 15.
I'll put the link to it on our physics wiki. It's already up there for everybody.
Well, you know, I'm going to go to Altman Science, which is my website. AltmanScience.com. Oh, look at me. Wow. I'm going to go to my videos in New York State Regents Prep, and then I'm going to go to June '08, page 15 and 16. And then that takes you to YouTube. And there we are, June '08, page 15. And what these are is just basically stream of consciousness solving the problems. Reading the problems, you know, what are they giving me? I'm reading it, and I'm doing it as though I'm the student. And so I'd circle and, you know, important things and that kind of stuff. And so that's basically what I'm doing. If you know anything about, who's that famous guy that was on 60 Minutes?
Khan Academy.
Khan Academy. That's his big thing, is the stream of consciousness problems, not a lot of fancy stuff. I got some other fancy videos. But for these, I take the page and I do that. And what I've been doing is I give each one of these to a student, and every night they do a page. And they've been doing this for a month and a half now. Every night they do a page. We're up to June 10, about page 12. By the time they get set for the exam, they'll be working on the June 11 exam. And now I had to give, what's that practice test they give us, the field test. So I gave them the field test it, and the kids all said the same thing. We could hear your voice. So
Do they have medication?
I could hear, I was thinking, what is this supposed to mean? Which is one of the things I said. Or there's the problem, was it last year, where they got the scooter is riding, the driver of the scooter falls off into a haystack. I go nuts on that problem. First of all, what sick teacher has got guys falling off their scooters? And when's the last time you ever saw a haystack? And so what happens is, you know, you try to throw a little bit of humor, try to throw that kind of aspect into it, and the kids like it. So what I have them do is they take it and they write down everything I write. And if I put a little formula in the margin, they put a little formula. And if I cross out answers because they're improbable, they cross them out. And then I have them write down one of my quotes, something that I said. Because I found that some of the kids were just watching the pictures and not really listening. We just copied the pictures. So now you got to put down a quote. And now they try to outdo each other. What's the funniest quote? The last one was, I can't believe you have no idea how much time I spent doing this problem, editing it, posting it, and then realizing I did it wrong. And having to go back, reshoot the whole video, repost it, take down the old one, put up the new one. I must have spent 5 hours because I made a mistake on one of these problems. And they thought that was hilarious. So that was the quote everybody put down. And so they hand them in every day, 10 points. If they don't do it, it's minus 20. They got to do it to bring the grade back up to a 0, which takes them a second or two, but once they find out what it is for their grade, they all do that. And because I don't know if your school has a problem, the Regents doesn't count for the grade anymore. It doesn't count in their average. And for our school. And there's a movement for that. And these kids are seniors, a lot of them. they've been accepted at college. They don't show up for the final exam. They're not showing up for the exams. My best students aren't showing up because it might hurt their average. It might look bad on their transcript. The 0 apparently looks better than an 85 if their average was a 95. And but I got kids who are convinced they can ace this test, pending stupid math errors, because I've been doing this, and I've been doing it for, like I said, about a month and a half. And I started, you know, 1 a week to get them used to it. And actually, I had some on just topical, the momentum problems. Go home, do the momentum problems, test tomorrow. And now, whenever I give a Regents South quiz, they do a lot better. They show their work, which they never did. I got multiple choice, I just think I'll just guess. And I got a 25% chance of being right. And so I'm thinking my results will be much better this year as a result of this. I don't know if they will or not, we'll find out. But that's what Brendan invited me to drive an hour and a half to tell you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. Are there any questions about that?
There's more?
So, when I told Brendan I was going to drive an hour and a half to talk to teachers, I said, you know, I'm thinking about retiring soon or dying. But I got all this crap I'd like to get rid of. And all these ideas that I've had for years, oh, these are awesome. Don't ever forget these. And he said, Tom, you can do whatever you want. I said, okay, good. So this is my whatever I want. Here's a couple of resources you can't teach without. RI Novelty. My smartboard running. RI Novelty. Have you used Oriental Trading? Okay, RI Novelty is just like Oriental Trading, except RI Novelty gives volume discounts. Oriental Trading doesn't. And you know, I get to a point where I want to buy a class set of these. For Oriental Trading, it's you know, they're $1.50 a piece. At Rhode Island Novelty, when I get a case, it's down to 20 cents a piece. It's phenomenal, the price break. It's cheaper to get the gross of them than it is to get 3 dozen. You get the thing. Oriental Trading won't make the deal for you. And so Rhode Island Novelty. American Science and Surplus. American Science and Surplus. I'm not going to spell it all. American Science and Surplus. You write it down. And I think it's AmericanScienceandSurplus.com. American Science and Surplus. Oh, great, I hit the wrong button. American Science and Surplus. American Science and Surplus, coupon codes. Here we go. Yep, there it is, American Science. So that's sciplus.com. SCIplus.com. And it's a surplus place, which means they get in a load of stuff and then they sell it at amazing prices. So these motors, for instance, that you're going to be getting, American Science and Surplus, 50 cents a piece. Edmund Scientific, $3.50 a piece. All right, I haven't bought anything from Edmund since my first year teaching. Got a lot of ideas from it. And I found out what a lot of the garbage was in the old cabinets. What's that? Oh, okay, it's an Edmund. It's for static electricity. There's some weird stuff for static electricity that they sold. So anyway, I get a lot of my stuff from American Science and Surplus. And that's it. And that's it. The next thing I do, and this is thanks to Dr. Ron Brown, who taught at SUNY Oswego forever. As a matter of fact, I thought about going to college because of Ron. I was in the Air Force at the time, but it's not real successful in high school. I was in the Air Force Station in Watertown, and one of the guys was taking classes at the SUNY Oswego, commuting and taking classes. He was doing the egg drop project. And I thought, wow, that's going to be cool. I can do that. And what class is that? He said, physics. I said, physics? Physics is an old man sitting behind his desk yelling at me for not doing my homework. Basically, that's what my physics experience. He said, oh, no, this guy's great. So I said, wow, maybe I can do that. And I finally took the course from him. He was great. But when you went into his office and you asked him a question, he said, wow, you were talking about this in class, that was kind of neat. He said, well, come back here. And he had, in his storage room, he had buckets of stuff. And he would give them to you. He said, well, here, take one. And I thought, oh, this is really great. And so I learned the idea from him. This is my dad. That's right. Thank you so much, Dad. I appreciate that. He's kind of why I like electronics and stuff. He always, nice guy.
Gotta be careful with all things.
And so he did electronics. He had a TV repair business. We always had a television in my house, and that worked. And so I was soldering when other kids were nailing boards together. I was soldering wires together. So I've always been playing with that. So a bouncy ball. Everybody gets one. The lab I do with this is my first. Actually, I think it's my second lab. Bounce it and record how high it goes after one bounce. Bounce it, record how high it goes after 2 bounces. Bounce it, record how high it goes after 3 bounces. And after a while, you're running down the hallway with a meter stick trying to get the 10th bounce. But then when you graph it, you get this beautiful little parabola. Well, I guess a hyperbola. Which says 1 curve. It's just half of the parabola, or whatever. Beautiful little graph. The idea that things that happen in real life can be reflected by these graphs is a big jump for these kids. Because in math class, you know, they do the graphs, but they're not sure why or what they represent. I don't know about you, but I always had a difficult, you know, graph this motion. What are you talking about? And this is a beautiful lab for doing that. And then they get to keep a bouncy ball. And what happens is they take it out, they play with it with their kids. Where'd you get that? Oh, in Mr. Allen's class. Really? Physics class? I want to take physics. You get toys in physics? I want to take that class. So I got a pretty popular. I mean, we built up from when I started 30-odd years ago, there were 2 physics classes. And now we've got 2 full-time physics teachers. And 4 Regents classes, AP, and 3 general classes. So that's pretty popular. And then one of the things I give them a little bit later, somebody could be able to find me a little bit of tape. Any kind of tape. Just a little strip of tape. To get a slinky. Now slinkies obviously are wonderful for everything. Thanks, let's do it. Here's your slinky. There you are. This is start. I've got more. So you do the slinkies, of course. And slinkies are one of the popular items. Kids love the slinkies. Just a little point. Don't give out the slinkies in the same unit when you give out the magnets. Because the magnets kill these slinkies big time. There you are. And slinkies are fun. Everybody loves a free slinky. And but then what you do with the slinky, you know, obviously for regents or general class, you're using the slinky to show longitudinal waves, because you can, you know, use a slinky is really great for longitudinal waves. If you're doing Hooke's law, you know, you can do the spring and stuff like that. You can teach the longitudinal waves in a slinky really well. Go to the desk, they can see it. It's a lot of fun. But in the AP class, when you're correlating Hooke's law to simple harmonic motion, because in Regents you're doing Hooke's law, which is fine. You could actually do Hooke's law with these slinkies. But then you take the bouncy ball and you tape it to your slinky, and then you do the correlation between simple harmonic motion and the mass as a function of spring constant. So in the AP class, you've got to correlate the 2 of them. Now they've got something in their pocket that they carry with them that they can see. And this is a blast. I mean, the fact that they can see the correlation there. And with less of a mass, well, try it yourself. With just the mass of the slinky, you've got a different frequency. Yes? See the correlation? And it's visual, it's immediate, and they carry it home with them in their pocket. And what happens is, they now own it. So now they need to know it a little better, because now they have to explain it to somebody else. What good's that? Well, let me show you. And I always get the kids saying, could you explain it to me again? Because now that they realize they have to explain it to somebody else, they need to own that information a little bit better. It's no longer, is it on the test, it's, are my friends going to ask me to explain it? And that is incredibly valuable, that knowledge. And so it's worth it to me to spend the, 50 cents a piece for the slinkies. It might even be less than 50 cents a piece. I think the slinky might be the most expensive thing I give up. For them to have that knowledge and that connection. There's kids that take the class just so they can get a slinky. Now, I have a, which allows me to do something else at the beginning of the year. If you're not going to do my homework, go to guidance and drop my class. Oh, what? What? Yeah, I'm not allowing you in my class if you're not going to do my homework. So the first homework assignment, some kids, I forgot it. Go to guidance. Here's a pass to guidance. I don't want it. Yeah, no, seriously, here's a pass to guidance. Go drop the class. I'm not kidding. The idea is, if you have something they want, they will do what you tell them to in order to get it. Problem is, we hardly ever have what they want. And so now, it's just a slinky. They can go get their own stinking slinky. But I got kids that will, all right, I promise I'll do my homework. Can I stay in the class? Yeah, all right. Okay, it's a deal. You miss your homework again. And I don't read about it in the newspaper. Then you're out. Okay. The carrot and the stick, all we ever have are sticks. I give them a little carrot every once in a while. And they're just little toys. But it's amazing. I hate to tell you about rainbow plastic. I got a gross of these, and I only needed 40. And so now I'm trying to get rid of the rest of them. So you get one of these. They're bubbles. Oh, here, there's enough. I'll tell you what, you want to go pass one of those out to everyone? And then you keep the rest. Yeah, we'll keep the rest. Oh, I forgot there's 2 dozen of these. I always prepare for 50% more people. There's left. Rainbows, soap bubbles, lots of fun. Does anybody teach Stakes of Matter anymore? Thermodynamics? It's not in Regents Physics anymore.
I don't do it in Regents, but in IB, it's a big part of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I use crystals for solids, and we grow rock candy. I use bubbles for liquid because of surface tension, and we do soap bubbles. And then for gases, we do balloons because they'll fill up the container, and the pressure causes the balloon to stretch. And so I do that from kindergarten all the way up to even my introduction in AP. Is crystals, and I've got a collection of crystals. If they get crystals, they can eat rock candy. Soap bubbles, everybody loves bubbles. And actually, I've got this little launcher. It's like a squirt gun, but it launches balls of water. It's the most amazing thing. You launch it. I should have brought it, but I had so many things. Come visit me on Oswego. I'll show you. I'll give you more toys. And it launches little balls of water because the surface tension, the molecular forces hold it together. And so I got a bunch of soap bubbles. No, seriously, I want you to have the rest. Thank you. You're going to be very excited. I do these. These are a lot of fun. Here, pass these out to some people. These are polymers. Polymers are, because when you do the phase change, the Stakes of Matter, it's all about, I want a purple one. my typical response is, oh, you didn't want the green one? No. All right, give it back. Can I have a purple one? No, I gave you a green one, you didn't want it. And they never complain again. The thing is, you got to kind of follow through. I got purple one. Stop it. They glow in the dark. Oh, people like them. Yeah, trust me on it. It's the super sticky stuff. When it gets covered with dust, you wash it in soapy water, let it air dry. Oh, you have no idea what you can do with it. However, you can launch them across the room. Now watch this. I'm going to stretch the full length and launch it. And that's pretty cool. Okay, go ahead and launch it back. Oh, good. But what I've discovered is if you launch the back half, it goes a lot more violently, because now it's got more momentum. Because when you pull it from the ends, the part that's accelerating, see, you pulled it from the wrong end.
Yeah.
The part that's accelerating is the part that's stretched. And so this is the part that's accelerating the most under the tension that's in it. If you pull it from here, now the part that's accelerating has more mass. Okay? It's got more tension, so it accelerates a little bit better, as opposed to what you did, you pulled it from here. Now the part that's accelerating the most, it's got the least amount of mass. So the fact is, I can stick it on your papers and do stuff like that. That's cool. But the fact that you can tie it into an AP physics lesson, and it's also cool, and then an AP chemistry lesson as well, makes it neat. You can have that too. Wait a minute, is that yours?
No, it's fine.
Okay, all right, okay. I got two purple. Now you got two. All right. I got two. Okay,
I don't know, twice as rich as everyone.
So these are a real cool item, and you see them in there, and actually this is a little pricey. It's called glowing string. What can I do with that stuff? But once you see it, you go, oh, I can do a lot of stuff with that. And that's kind of been the secret to what I do, is how can I use that to teach? As opposed to, well, you know, what's the demonstration item? I don't buy anything from Edmund anymore. I don't buy anything from Fisher. If I can't teach it using this crap, why teach it? You know, I get the static, and I've got a Tesla coil, and I've got, you know, some of those stuff.
Now, what do you do with your budget then? Because you can't use your budget to buy this stuff.
I haven't used school money to buy stuff. I'll give, which is advice I was going to give you. When I started teaching, I had some great ideas. I did some stuff with lasers and holography. Really like lasers. They just really amaze me. Still do. Got some green ones that I will sell cheap. I got some red ones I'm going to give you. All right? But these green ones are insane. I don't know how they do it. I mean, it's supposed to be 5 milliwatt. I'm going to pop balloons with these lasers for $20. It's insane. Dad, put your laser away. We'll take it from you. Okay? So anyway, I shared it at workshops. I shared it at a Standees conference. Had a company liked it, said, listen, could we manufacture it and sell it? Well, sure. There was a couple of years with my laser optics kit that I just built for fun, that I made more money doing that than I did teaching. Making these laser optics that were sold everywhere. Actually, my holography technique, you can still find it in the Arbor Scientific catalog. They stole it, they call it theirs. But I've got the original catalogs where it was Altman holography, and then the following year it was the holography with Altman, and the following year it was our holography technique. Yeah, Arbor has some cool stuff, but they are thieves. You know, buy their stuff, but don't work with them, because they will take it. It's just the truth of it. Peter Ray was an accountant. He wasn't a teacher. Worked with a couple other companies, CPO, things like that, and they were really good to me. But Arbor wasn't. There's my anti-Arbors. Get that on video?
Yeah.
Hi, Peter. Lied. And I covered for you. All right, at any rate, so I turned what I was doing into a money-making. I paid for all my own stuff. I own all my own equipment. I got a separate room in my garage for my science equipment. And when I leave, they're going to have to, you know, the other physics teachers constantly come, could you bring in your bin on momentum? Because I've got all my own stuff. And just, you know, it's my hobby, but I turned it into money. Okay, so this one's empty. There's two of them. Give me one. I teach juggling. When I do projectile motion, juggling is finished. These light up. I love stuff that lights up. There's an inertial switch in there. If you get it right. Some of them light up. And anybody here juggle? Do you really? Yep. Here. Now you have three. Yeah, oh, they'll turn off after a while. Yeah, stop juggling, okay?
Pass?
This is the other technique that works really best when doing this with students. All right, now.
Have a box.
No, you get that. That's paper plastic. There you go. You got a box.
Yay! Grazie.
I tell them, all right, put it on your desk. If you don't touch it again, I'll let you keep it.
Oh, man.
And it does take taking her thing away from her and not giving it back. But all you got to do that is once every 3 or 4 years. And word gets out, he's going to give you something when he tells you not to touch it. Don't touch it. Because he means it. And she goes, oh, can I promise? No, it was mine. It continues to be mine until the end of the class period under the following conditions. You don't touch it again. Because I'm going to give you rainbow glasses in just a second. And I pass those out all over the world. And I pass these out to a prison school in South Carolina where the kids sat on boards on cinder blocks. And they said, now if you don't touch these again, I'll let you keep them. And they set them down next and they don't touch them. But I've also done this at the science and math school in Doha, Qatar, which is the highest per capita income country on the planet. The kids drive in their Mercedes and BMWs. Their Rolex could have paid for the airplane I flew in on. And when I said, okay, now put these away, I'll let you keep them. They stick them into their Armani suit pockets and don't touch them. Little, 25-cent glasses. Actually, I brought a pack of these for each of you. Because one of them just isn't good enough. Very good pack. I buy these 1,000 at a time, and the price drops down to about $0.10 a piece. Now, if I do a workshop at your school, each kid walks out with a pair of glasses, and I will charge you $1 a student for the fee. So that's one of the other reasons how I pay for this. If I do an assembly, I will have a materials fee. And I'll say, it's $500 plus $2 a head for everybody that shows up. But they walk out with manipulatives. You got to call them manipulatives, so that's what's funny. Rainbow glasses! I pay no $2 for rainbow glasses, but manipulatives, oh, that's very entertaining. So we'll do that. And that kind of pays for a lot of the stuff I give away. The stuff that you guys, I'm doing something at SU next week that'll be $500. And that basically will cover all the crap I give you. Plus, again, right here, talk for 5 minutes about YouTube.
Thanks.
So a bunch of technology teachers. All right, so anyway, the rainbow glasses, they're spectral glasses. This is the best way in the world to teach spectral lines. Because they go out and they see. The activity, you have the little slide that you use, and you do the spectral lines, you're doing the quantum levels. Yes, you guys all do that. I found very early on, this has been my oldest giveaway, these rainbow glasses. And Edmund will sell you these for $1.50 a piece. CPO will sell you a replacement pack for their optics kit, but I designed their optics kit for CPO. And so that's why I included the glasses. And then you send the kids out in the halls. And they look at fluorescent lights and they see the spectral lines. And then they go to the gymnasium, they see the mercury vapor lines. Maybe they see an incandescent bulb somewhere. Where are they going to find one of those anymore? But you got the experimental incandescent bulb that you ordered for the science class. Yeah, for $7. And, or the one you had in your basement. And I get them out there mapping spectral lines, and you have to convince them that because it's really long doesn't mean that's the spectral line. That's the light source. And then go home and identify different lights, and then I bring out the spectral tubes and I plug it in, and they'll say, "Oh, that's mercury. Oh, we recognize that from the mercury vapor lights in the gymnasium, the spectral." And so they once again they see the stuff you're teaching in class is relevant to their everyday life. And you talk about, astronomers, that's how they know what the star's made out of. They're wearing glasses like this when they're looking through their telescopes. And I leave out a couple of the steps, but basically that's what they're doing. And so this is so much better than the little slides that you got. And I do a lab, I do a couple of labs, but I do one where they shine the laser through and they calculate with the gap spaces and giving them a red laser with a known wavelength. And then they get the green laser, and they have to calculate the wavelength based on the gap space. And the Regis doesn't teach lambda equals Vx over L anymore. The AP does, and it's still fun. And then you can do the thickness of a human hair lab using the same principle, where you take a hole punch into a 3x5 card, get somebody who has hair to volunteer straight, and then you tape it across that hole. And then you can, using the diffraction pattern, you can calculate the diameter of the human hair using a laser pointer. And so it's a 3-step, and then the number of grooves on a CD, because the CD will also give you the diffraction pattern based on the gap space. And so it's, but it starts off with them walking through the halls, which once again, kids, where'd you get those glasses? Because they get to keep them if they don't touch them for the rest of the period. And then they wear them to lunch. And these are the juniors and seniors who are smart, taking physics. So now it becomes cool to be a little nerdy. And so it works in a couple different ways. And I open it. I don't want. Yeah, no, now you
I teach 4 years.
All right.
I'll give it to someone who teaches at the high school.
Yeah,
I mean, we have students who walk around looking weird all the time.
Oh, yeah. I love LEDs. This is my latest project. Bonsai LEDs. I took down this hickory, or shagbark hickory tree, and it had all these branches that are really gnarly. And so I thought, if I wound wires to them and wired up LEDs, I could just plant them, and then I wouldn't have to water them all the time, and because my bonsai trees are dying. And so I started coming up with these bonsai trees. I'm finishing up one that has 100 LEDs on it that they're using for the prom. And this is going to be how I pay for my stuff in the future, because I'm preparing my portfolio for a jury evaluation for our local art guild. And I got some really wild. I just love LEDs. I mean, they light up. They use hardly any current. If I unplug it, it's going to stay lit for a couple of seconds from the residual electricity in the secondary of the transformer. And this is just cool. I like that. I thought I'd show it to you. See? I'll be giving you LEDs in just a second. Where did this go? No, you can't. This is one more cool thing that I found along the way. These light up and fly. Anything that flies in a physics class is insane. I mean, anything that flies. I don't kill mosquitoes anymore because they can fly. That just amazes me too much. How does that thing do that? Flying is such a hard thing to do. Yeah, right. Here, now you guys do. I'll show you. If you don't play with it again. These are the propeller things. You put them in your hands. These came with these really nice LEDs. Terrible switch, but nice LEDs. Flew through that. Look at that, I didn't even like that. You got one of your cameras, I got you. And yeah, it works. Yeah, see the cap comes off. It's just got a great LED. They were pretty cheap, and they lit up and they fly. That's all.
Well, I noticed something else, Tom. It has scintillating plastic, which absorbs the light in one direction and redirects it out the sides, which is a nice modern physics thing.
And it's fluorescent.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun. Don't you wish you had sat right there? No, we're going to sit there. It'd be cool with the cool kids. And here's the last thing that I give out every year. And this is the boring teachers get so mad at me. Well, they're giving kids these toys, they play with them in my classes. They don't have any control. They don't play with them in my classes. And magnetic pairs. Magnets are insane. Magnets are the most magical thing as far as I'm concerned. And these are real powerful. These, whatever they are. Rattlesnake.
Yeah.
Aren't you glad you stayed? Isn't that one guy upset that he left? And he doesn't even know it?
He will.
He will.
Yeah, I'm just these are kind of pricey and this I definitely. Now, if I hear that sound again. Now, if you just separate them a little bit and let them rock together, you get one kind of a swishing sound. So you can zoom in if you want. So you kind of separate them, and they rock back and forth, and that's an interesting sound. Obviously, they're banged together. What happens when they bang together? What's happening then? Well, in fact, it's the exact same thing as the bouncing ball. Gravity pulls it down. Coefficient of restitution bounces it away, comes back, and it gets closer and closer and closer. The exact same thing is happening, except it's magnetism that's pulling them together. And they bounce apart from each other. That's where they're going click, 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 click all the time. And if you let it have a little bit of time, you can hear it. Now for me, magnets are most impressive when they're repelling. Attraction, lots of stuff attracts. Repulsion. And we've got names for it, but what's really happening, not clearly understood yet. This is the kind of stuff I think you can send kids home with, go, what's happening there? And it will prompt their imagination to a point where they might pursue it further. Because, oh, it's repelling, it must be north-north. Those are just the words we use to describe this, but it doesn't explain this. There's a force, and it's a strong force pushing these things away. What's happening inside of that? That's a tough sell. What's going on there? And don't try to give them vocabulary words. Let them go with that creative kind of imaginative stuff. All right, if you take these and put them away, I'll let you keep them. I'm looking at you. All right, I'm just saying. I do have what I consider to be a better version of that. The round ones actually work a little bit interesting sound, they work a little bit better, but they lend themselves to teenage boys getting carried away. However, you can go on YouTube and see people playing with truckloads of these things. I mean, pile them up, building huge stuff. Apparently, they're not making them anymore because the mining of the rare earth materials is kind of not very green, and so I read somewhere where the company isn't doing that anymore. All right, those are my primary giveaways. Now, I did something new last year and then came up with an amazing variation of it this year. Motors. I'm going to take a motor. Okay. I'm going to take a motor. Everybody take a white LED.
Thank you, Vernon.
And this is a red LED, even though it looks clear. You'll be able to tell which is which because one lights up red. Now, I get my my LEDs from a place called Deal Extreme. DealExtreme.com is a Chinese distributor. Are you doing that up there? Okay. DealExtreme.com. Okay, what color are those?
These are the white.
Okay, all right. And they go in the thing marked white. Did you get a white one? Yeah.
I was reading yours.
I appreciate that. DealExtreme.com. The lasers that I'm going to pull out and show you,
Thank you.
we got, I ordered them 2.5 months ago and they showed up last week. That's the problem with DealExtreme.com. But the price is insane. These LEDs, Deal is extreme price. The price for these at what are the DigiKey for about $1 a piece, and the price for Deal Extreme were I think $10 a piece. So and they don't have a minimum order and no shipping, and so it's really good. All right, now a diode, a laser diode. Yes, there's a bed. Okay, thank you. All right. Here's what I suggest you do. I started off a couple years ago. The motor, DC motor, acts as a generator if you turn the shaft. It creates electricity. And if you put a diode on one end of it, then it will light up. But a diode is polar, it's directional. So if electricity is going one direction, it lights up. If you go the other direction, it doesn't light up. That's a little bit. However, if you put another LED going in the opposite direction, go ahead and stand up and show it. When you turn in the other direction, now it goes, so now you wire another LED in parallel to it.
His own mechanical generator.
And if you don't know LEDs, the LED, it's got a little light, and it's got 2 legs on it, and one of them's a little bit longer than the other. And that's how you can determine the polarity of the LED. So if you light up, if you put the 2 of them in a little hole, so that the one of them, the long leg, is with the short leg of the other one, then you'll have them so it has a color going in either direction. And then what?
Does it actually, I'm trying to remember, does it actually stop the current flow in the other direction? Or could you hook them in series and it would work?
It stops.
I think it
Stops
stops
it?
it. I mean, there's a limit. I think you can overdrive them, and I've burned a few. Also, I think the red one works on a little bit less current, and so it's easier to get red than white. Yes, is this cool? A cool little thing? I love it. Now, Deal Extreme also has a bunch of little lights and stuff, and this is designed to put on your bicycle. And basically, it's electrical generation. It's the coolest little thing. However, what time do you guys usually leave?
Never.
Yeah, it's still noon
We
anyway.
got more toys, we're staying.
Oh, I knew that. I wasn't asking who wants to leave now. I was saying what time you normally leave, so I can know just how much further I pushed you all.
Whenever the toys run out.
When the toys run out, fair enough. I will keep my box with toys that I won't do to the very end. When I do my stage show, I've got something kind of neat on the end that I never get to. Because if you get to it, then the kids get a little rough. But if you haven't got there, you're not going to say, kids, I only have a certain amount of time. I'll just wait until you stop talking. And they start talking. Okay, well, I gotta get this. I only have a little bit of time, and I got all this other stuff I want to do. There's this big flashy thing at the end, which I never get to. It's all about manipulating the little lines. All right. This was the coolest thing ever. I loved it. It's marvelous. It's amazing. You're going to get one, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to find them again. I got 100 of them. I used about 80 of them in my classes, and now I've got 20 left. And there's just enough for you guys. These are skateboard wheels. Now you can buy them wholesale or retail, and they're about $5 a pop. So these are skateboard wheels. These are neat. But these are not just skateboard wheels. These have a magnet in the hub. And they've got pickup coils in the wheel attached to LEDs. So if you hold on to the hub and spin the wheel, it lights up. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know what you're thinking. I think this is the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. I thought the same thing. This is amazing.
I'm thinking how upset my kids are going to be that I don't have an entire skateboard with them on.
Well, I do think very much, but yeah, you ain't getting 40.
I won't hear for that for another 20 years.
Brandon? Now, the problem is, we all set? Oh, I'm pretty disappointed about that, aren't you? Trying to hold that magnet and spin it is lame. So what you need to do is mount it. And in order to mount it, you need bearings. And bearings are they're a little bit trickier. Got a lot of bearings. This is going to become a project, which I'm not going to be in charge of. So here's the bearings. And then bearings need to be seated. Bearings are great. When I do this project with the kids, I go back to who here can drive a rubber? You'd be amazed. I thought the same thing myself. So here's what you're going to have to do. You have to pick up 2 bearings. Let me have here we go. Put one of these on, and it kind of, you stick it on one, and try to stick it in there. And if you've got massive, powerful fingers, it'll work. And if not, you'll have to drive it over the hammer. You put one on the other side, and then what you do is, we've got it set up here, so you can drive one on. And if you hit that with a hammer, give it a good whack. That's good. It'll seat one of the bearings. And then you make sure that you got the magnet in the center. Seat the other bearing. And now it's mounted. And then if you had a shaft, a little wooden shaft, oh, that's right, these were a little bit too big. That's why I used pencils instead. But I didn't bring any pencils with me. I was so ill-prepared. No, yes, you're going to have to provide your own pencil. You know somebody's going to walk away a little disappointed. Why do you have a pencil?
That's why you bring your pencil every day.
Yeah, I tell you. And so, and now you get it so that, and it's awesome. You can use inertia to light it up. Or obviously you can do it here. I've actually got a real long dowel. I've got one on the end of the dowel. I can just roll it around. And this will work for the rest of your career. Because this is generating its own electricity. There ain't any batteries in this thing. The little bouncy balls that light up, that'll die after a while. Because there's a battery in there. It's only on for a fraction of a second, and it's an LED, and so it'll last for a long time. This will last forever. I just love this. I tell the kids, after the zombie apocalypse, when technology has broken down, if they keep this, one of 3 things will happen. They'll be sitting there hiding in the cave from the wolves, and they can do this. And either 1, they'll be considered a witch and burned. 2, they'll be considered a wizard and revered. Or 3, they will rule their clan. The kids all practice. And it's a lot of fun. You now have one. I've got bearings here. I've got a person who will help you seat the bearings. And pencils are readily available everywhere. Do it real quick. Go ahead, make one bearings. Yes.
Luke, I am your father.
This was the first phaser sound for the first Star Trek TV show. There was a guy backstage hitting a slinky.
It was her.
Separates himself.
Do I need to make an example of it? Teachers really get pissed if you actually take it away from them. Teachers are the worst time. But they're not paying me, so it's not like they're going to give me my check. I always get that up front. All right, so you can make one of those. I just showed you. All right, lasers are awesome. They're cool. Everybody's terrified of lasers. Basically what happens is that when you get a laser, which you now are about to get, this is how much I like Brendan. Okay? So, all right, I'll give everybody a laser. Well, you're teachers. You know, you're starting out, as many of you are starting on your career, you need to not be jerks about stuff. Is there anybody who doesn't have one? See, that's a great question to ask. So anyway, does everybody have one? You say, is there anybody who doesn't have one? Ask questions that you really want to know the answers to. Don't ask stupid questions. These are really nice lasers. One of the best I've gotten for the price. They are Chinese. They are a couple bucks a piece. They're not really designed and engineered to be imperfect. You might want to take it out of its box and make sure it turns on for you. Put the battery in it. The battery goes in backwards, positive side down. The threading on the back end of it is the weakest, well, the second weakest link. So when you thread it back on, make sure you don't force it, cross-thread it, and ruin it.
Can I swap you for one that has a battery?
No. Shut up.
Some people. Now, when you say positive side down,
It should be
which way am I
positive
holding
side
it?
sticking.
What goes in first?
Pointy thing sticks
So
to
there's a
it.
spring in there. You don't want the little nipple thing
There
hitting the
you go.
spring. You want the flat part.
I can tell the sense of humor of my kids this year. Like one of the girls.
Yeah. Here's your switch. Yeah, I'm sorry. Positive side out. Positive side out.
Oh, you get the intensity.
You got fun with Brendan.
Still try to catch it.
Well, see, this is. All right, here's the deal. If you put your lasers down and don't touch them again, I'll let you keep them.
That trick won't work anymore.
Yes, it will. It's about to work. It's about to work extremely well. All right? Because a bunch of you could have very likely been my students. I'm not intimidated because you're a big, strong teacher now. Because I'm old and Brendan has a video. Put your lasers down, please. The people are terrified with lasers. Some schools have outlawed them because they're going to blind you in the eye. In the millions of lasers like this that have been made, there is not a single record of direct eye damage. There's indirect eye damage where people are shining at each other and the girl cries and rubs her eye and more kids shine her because now she's crying and she rubs her eyes and by the time she gets to the nurse, her eye's all red. It was caused by the laser pointer. Called secondary laser pointer damage. Okay? In fact, it was her. There's the newspaper. I got the clipping. 4 killed by laser pointer. And a drunk guy in his pickup truck was driving in LA traffic, weaving in and out, shining his laser pointer at people, hit a van, knocked him off the road, killed 4 people. But 4 killed by laser pointer was a better ad than drunk guy kills 4, which happens all the time. And so it was, it was laser pointer. So it's a bright light.
I almost got arrested.
Thanks for sharing. When I get to this part about the green lasers, you don't want to be involved. Because you will get arrested. This is an invitation to the FBI. But the red laser is a lot of fun, no record damage, plenty of things you can do to it. Teachers don't like them because when they're writing on the blackboards, the kids shine them on their butt. Everybody laughs and you don't know who it is. Right? So the solution is, get yourself one of these green lasers and burn the little kid's retina out. I'm just saying. Nobody points a laser at me because they're afraid of retaliation. So just be worse than they are. And the laser pointers are right. When I first got mine, I thought it was Darth Vader. I sat in my chair, and, all right, today we're going to be talking about this stuff over here, and we're going to be doing this. But what I found was that back when we had overheads and blackboards, the quiet kids, okay, here, all right, point out the vector, show me the one that is going to give me friction. Okay, show me the vector that's giving me weight. And they're just a little quiet, that's his friction. And it was the most amazing way to bring out a lot of kids. So it's a lot of fun. The reason the kids shine at your butt is because they don't know what else to do with it. So the solution, of course, is to give them a plethora of options. Now, if you email me at starcross42 starcross42@hotmail.com. Starcross42@hotmail.com. Starcross, the name of the very first Infocom, well, one of the very first Infocom text-based video games, computer games. 42, of course, the ultimate answer. And Hotmail because it's free. So if you email me at starcross42@hotmail.com, I will send you a copy and mention that you were here, part of the Raptor group. I will send you, which is very creative. We tried that for us a week ago, but oh, that was awesome. Really intimidating as a Raptor. Yeah, I'm part of the Raptor group. Yeah, afterwards we go out drinking and riding their motorcycle. And I will send you a copy of my ebook on how to do all this stuff yourself. I do have videos on YouTube, and my username for YouTube is simply starcross42. You can go to my laser segment, or if you go to altmanscience.com. If you go to altmanscience.com,
What site?
Altman Science, ALTMAN, science.com. I've got video section and one entire section dedicated to my laser videos, laser shows. So it tells you how to build all this stuff. Things to do with your laser. The first thing you do, of course, is you shine it through those rainbow glasses, and this is what you get when you shine through your rainbow glasses. Exact same thing as you were seeing. Who's on the light switches? Okay. We'll get there in a second. Now I'm going to go with my green lasers because they're a lot brighter. I did pick up a bunch of, these are insanely green lasers that just showed up. My students were getting some of these. I'm getting signed waivers. And you know, fresh out of the box, I got no clue what this is going to be. But $20, you can get one of these from me. For $20, you can get one of these from me. Hope that's okay. I ain't giving these out.
That's all right.
They're kind of pricey. Batteries also go in the back way. And it was a luck of the draw. I don't know if they just mismarked them. Whoa. Yeah, whoa. Yeah. But let me try something. Now, obviously, I haven't done anything yet. So I don't know. All right, this one isn't popping the balloon. Okay. All right, so this one isn't powerful enough to pop a balloon. So this is less than 40 milliwatts. But this is a bright laser. This is insane. My first green laser pointer, $400, and just like a half milliwatt. But it was my half milliwatt. I could put anywhere I wanted. So anyway, but I could easily pull out another one and pop that balloon with it. So let's go. Here we go. The model of the atom. So now you shine through and you get first, second, third, fourth order bright spots on 2 axes. That's what your rainbow glasses do for you. And then you get a couple little motors, which is always fun. And when you and I use Legos for all of this stuff because why not? And then if you were to spin it, you get that, which is kind of cool. All right, and now, yeah, actually, if you can turn the screens off, I can project stuff onto the screen. And then you get 2 of them spinning in opposite directions.
Working on it.
All right, this way. Okay. And let's turn the lights on. There we go. So this is the perfect model of the atom. There's Feshbach resonances. There's all sorts of stuff in there. All right, right now, ooh and ah would be appropriate.
Ooh.
All right, good, thanks. Turn the lights back on. So that's using the material that your rainbow glasses are made out of and spinning. That's fun. So you've given the kids the rainbow glasses, they get a laser, and I have them pay $5 for a laser, because they're going to be doing a project, which I guess I can show you right now. And so they do this laser music can project. $5 covers the laser and a can. This is a can that's got a balloon, a little fruit can. I've cut both ends off of it, stretched a balloon across it, and glued a mirror to it. Video instructions on how to do this. And then you sing in one end. You know, oh, la, la, hello, oh. And again, the Liz say patterns. As it turns out, that pattern is exactly the same if I sing the same note. If I could sing the same note twice in a row, I would have been a singer instead of a physics teacher. Hello. Now, about 2 decades ago, I presented this here for the National Technical Institute for the Deaf. They loved it, except back then the lasers were these monster things you plugged into the wall. When you're deaf, you're really kind of concerned about losing your vision. And so they like the idea, they have it. And so since then, I've been telling my students that if they go into some kind of speech therapy, this has been used because it teaches vocalization to deaf kids. Because they can't hear, so they don't make the noises. But now they can see it, and it's real cheap. It's not like you need an oscilloscope and a microphone and a computer or anything. You can just play with it. And so the kids love this project, the Laser Music Can. And so that's a lot of fun. And so that's why they get the lasers, because we're doing that project. And then I show them some of the other stuff they can do with it. Yeah, it's fun. This is a simple little bit. The spring, this is a simple harmonic motion idea. The spring from your pen, I love those things. There's so much you can do. I remember being a kid, taking my pen apart, and just wondering about the spring and playing with it and wondering what was going on. Not really writing down anything. I wasn't that good at school, but I had this imagination. So the little spring that comes from the pen, now if we had the things on, I could show it to you in the camera, but I'm not going to. So, you know the little spring that comes out of pens? I don't need to show it to you. I've hot glued, there's a video in a book, I've hot glued a mirror to it. And you get this tracing pattern, which has a lot of real interesting applications, especially if you start moving it to basically you get sine waves or variations of it. You get these really...
Ooh.
See, now you want a piece of it, don't you? Even a little sliver of the glass is going to do this. Let's turn the lights on. Wait. Look at that glass.
Just feel around for it.
You won't be able to miss it.
Ooh.
Get it? This is pretty sweet. I had a round piece that I would put on a motor and spin, a little clock motor, and you get this kind of stuff. But in fact, I went to a stained glass studio, one of these, Groupon type of things, and I made it stained glass. In fact, I used all clear glass, so I guess it's just a glass window. And but they had all these different textures of clear glass, so I got some different textured glass, and. I don't know if you guys can see the real intricacies of the pattern that's being created. But you get the interference as it refracts in different, and then we get different sources. You're getting this, and this is pretty sweet. Let's see. This is a green laser I just did. And let me put a different green one. I'm having a plethora. The last ones I got from these were awesome. Is that cool or what? So you put on a little clock motor and you get these little patterns going around. And this is cool. It's very hypnotic. I've got a video that I've got. Actually, my daughter is singing, doing the music for her. And just a really cool thing. All right, lights again. Thanks. That's all I'm going to do. I've got a thing where I modulate the laser, but I'm not 100% sure you can modulate these new lasers. So I'm not going to tell you about it. And I did paper. I think we got most of the glass.
Most of the big pieces.
And I do have, there's a pile of broken glass here, but you might want to take a piece of it because it would do that. But and then I got to remember to fix the new one. All right, any questions? All right, any questions?